Hi, today I wanted to do update on Open vSwitch with the DPDK. And specifically, we wanted to check the difference between DPDK vHostuser ports. So in DPDK vHostuser ports, there are two types, vhostuser versus vhostuserclient. So here is an interesting read here. So vhostuser, dpdkvhostuser, dpdkvhostuserclient. So vhostuser uses client and the server model. So the server creates, manages, and destroys vhostuser sockets. The clients collect to the server, depending on which type port you use, DPDK vhostuser and the DPDK vhostuserclient. So what this means is that if you are user DPDK vhostuser, the Open vSwitch will create the vhostuserclient and work as a server. So your virtual machine will work as a client, like QEMU as the client to collect to the server, collect to the Open vSwitch. And for DPDK vhostuserclient, it is the QEMU act as QEMU act as the server. So it's your virtual machine act as a server, and then your Open vSwitch act as the client. So Open vSwitch. So in this scenario, when your Open vSwitch restart, Open vSwitch will recollect to the QEMU as a client through the vhostuser socket. So in this way, it is recommended to use the DPDK vhostuserclient because if you restart Open vSwitch, and after Open vSwitch restart, it will recollect to the QEMU, and your virtual machine network interface will first be done when Open vSwitch restart, and after after Open vSwitch started successfully, your virtual machine network interface will be automatically up. So yeah, that's the recommended way. So I'm going to do a lab demo test to verify the DPDK vhostuserclient behavior. So here is how you compile and install Open vSwitch with DPDK. So we are going to use the most recent long-term support version, DPDK 22.11.1, and we are going to compile the DPDK from the source. So here is a DPDK. Let's remove the. So I already compiled, but for this demonstration, I'm going to recompile the DPDK. So let's first untar the package, the source package, then go to this source directory. And then now let's follow the instruction here to install DPDK. Okay, so let's copy paste this. export the dpdk directory for the source. Now let's enter, we're already in the dpdk source directory. And then let's export this. Then let's use Meson to build. Okay, now it's prepare the dpdk source to configure the dpdk source, and then let's build the dpdk library. So let's open another dpdk. See, it's still compiling. So at the same time, let me show you the big IP virtual machine. So by the way, this is not this not only apply to big IP virtual machine, it also applies to any Linux virtual machine setup. So I'm just using big IP as a virtual machine example. Let's look at the virtual machine libvirt XML configuration for the vhostuserclient configuration. So here I have two interfaces that use the open vSwitch DPDK port. So this is first interface. This is the second interface. So notice the difference. In the interface, they are both using the type vhostuser, but in the source, okay, let's. But in the source, that's where the difference is. For this first network interface, so it is a Unix socket, and the socket file is here. It's called dpdkvhostuser. This socket file name. So okay. So when I talk about this Unix socket file, I'm talking about this vhostuser sockets. Okay. So this is the vhostuser socket file, and notice here the mode runs as a client mode, meaning open vSwitch is the server, and this QEMU, this libvirt QEMU XML file for the virtual machine. So this virtual machine work as a client mode. So open vSwitch work as a server mode. And so that's the first interface. Now the second interface. Here we'll have the same source type Unix, and here's the vhostuser socket file, and this is the mode. So notice this mode is a server mode, which means the virtual machine work as the server, and the virtual machine, the QEMU, will create this vhostuser socket file. So in this case, when Open vSwitch restarted on the computer node, it will recollect to this vhostuser socket file created by the virtual machine, the QEMU process. So since this is the recommended configuration, recommended way to run virtual machine as a server mode, and you don't need to restart your virtual machine when your computer node Open vSwitch restarted. So this is more reliable. For this case, for the first interface, if you restart Open vSwitch in the computer node, since the virtual machine work as a client, and the virtual machine is required to restart to have the interface up. So yeah. Okay. So let's look at our compiles. So now we are going to install the DPDK library. Okay. So we installed the DPDK library and we run this ld-config to update the DPDK library path. And we can check if the dpdk is in the correct library path. Okay, so it shows DPDK version 22.11.1. Okay, so now let's go to let's install OVS. So next step is to install OVS. And so I simply cloned the OVS source repo, and so that's the most recent version, OVS version. So let's configure OVS with a DPDK library. Okay, now let's make the Open vSwitch with the DPDK library. Yeah, I don't need it to do this since we can bypass. And in the setup, we will set up the huge pages for the Open vSwitch DPDK. And that is already done here. So we can check if we have the correct huge page setup. So we have a huge pages, 20 and 48. Okay. So the huge page is set up already. And we also need to mount this huge page file system. And I already did that. So I already did this. And to make this huge page persistent, you can just run this. So if you restart your machine, the huge page will be set up automatically. So it's still compiling the open vSwitch. Yeah. So after set up the huge pages, then we needed to set up DPDK using the VFIO. And yeah, let's see if we have this enabled in kernel. So we do. Notice here we have IOMMU enabled. And we also have Intel IOMMU enabled in kernel. Okay, this is our kernel version 5.3. And this is the IOMMU in the kernel. So yeah, we completed these steps, and let's see if it's still compiling the open vSwitch. So to save time, I just show you what the steps we needed to do after install open vSwitch. So, and also here, we needed to check if we have the physical network driver with the DPDK with this VFIO PCI driver. So we can show that here. So we do. So this is I have an Intel 10G network card, and notice the driver is the vFIO PCI. Okay. So we did this. And next we are going to set up OVS to open vSwitch to use the DPDK, which I already did. We can verify that by run this command to show if open vSwitch has DPDK configured, which is true. Okay. Okay, the open vSwitch is compiled. Let's install the open vSwitch. Okay, open vSwitch installed. So now we already did it. Set up open. Now let's set up the open vSwitch. And so here is the command I already did. And here, yeah, don't forget to configure open vSwitch with the DPDK memory. And I use the 2048. Okay, so we validate it. Open vSwitch is using DPDK. Now we can verify if Open vSwitch is running. Version. So this is Open vSwitch D version 3090, DPDK version 22.11.1. So it looks configured and up running. And let's show the bridge setup. So to save time, I already set up the Open vSwitch bridge, and here I created the two DPDK vhost client port. So this is the second port. This is the first port, DPDK vhost client. So notice here the type, the interface type is dpdkvhostuser-client, which is recommended. And the option here, we have the vhost server path. This is the vhostuser socket file. So when you start up QEMU, the virtual machine, the QEMU will create this vhostuser socket, since the virtual machine work at the server mode. And we have a DPDK port. Notice here we are using this is the DPDK, the network interface PCI bus information. Okay, so I also have a port DPDK vhost server. So notice the type here is the DPDK vhostuser, and so that I'm going to show you the two interface, like I just showed you the two interface. So this is the two interface. Notice here, the first interface is using vhostuser in client mode. Second interface in server mode, which is recommended. And yeah, so let's do the test. And okay, we needed to start this big IP virtual machine. Let's console into this virtual machine. Wait for it to start up. And so to demo the test, I'm going to use this restart to restart the Open vSwitch on this compute node. And then we will monitor the guest network interface. So let's wait for the virtual machine to come up. Okay, now it's the virtual machine is up and running. Let's wait for it to wait this big IP virtual machine to completely start up. Then we will do the test. Okay, looks So looks this big IP is fully up and running. And let's show the network interface. Okay, so I have two network interface here. In big IP world, it's called the first interface is 1.1. The second interface is 1.2. So which is so which is so this is that's the so the first interface is using this dpdkvhostuser, and the 1.2, the second interface is using type dpdkvhostuserclient. Okay, that's the big IP. That's the big IP 1.1, 1.2 interface map to. So again, look at the interface. This is 1.1 on the big IP in the client mode. So this is 1.2 in the big IP in the server mode. And so now they are both up and running. They are both up for the two interface. And now let's restart the open vSwitch. Restart. Okay, we restart it. And let's tail the LTM log, big IP LTM log. Okay, let's restart again, just so you can see the log message. So notice here, 1.2 interface is down when the open vSwitch restarted. And now, but now it's up again because the second interface work as a server mode. So after open vSwitch restarted, it will reconnect to the virtual machine, and so the link is up correctly. But if you look at the 1.1 interface, okay, we can group link log LTM. So the second interface works fine. It's down, it's up, but notice the 1.1 interface, it is down. It's not up after open vSwitch restarted. So that's not good, right? So you have to, even you reboot your big IP, the 1.1 interface is still down. You have to like shut down your big IP and then repower it on. Then the 1.1 interface can be up after open vSwitch restart. Okay, so that's the demonstration. Let's just make sure. Okay, so now the big IP is powered off, and now we can power it on, and then the 1.1 interface will be up. Okay, let's console in again. So Yeah, so this is like a lab demonstration on the difference between dpdkvhostuser and dpdkvhostuserclient. So, and which is recommended for this for virtual machine work as the server mode. Yeah. So here actually at the bottom of the page, it has libvirt XML file template for you to play with the interface type vhostuser. And but in this template, they are using the client mode, which is not recommended. Okay. So our virtual machine is up. And let's show show your net interface. So now 1.1 is up again after shut down the virtual machine and power on the virtual machine. So you can hear. Yeah. And both are up. Okay, so yeah, that's today.